Well, good morning, Mr. Fisher. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I know who you are, but could you tell our audience who you are and what your relationship is to Invictus Games?
Yes, I am the chairman and CEO of the Fisher House Foundation, and I am the chairman and co-CEO of the Invictus Games.
Wow. And we're here at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex, and would love to know what brought you to the Invictus Games. How did you learn about it?
Well, we were actually the only American sponsor in the inaugural games in 2014 in London. And when the idea came to bring it to the United States, we seemed like a logical candidate to do that since we had familiarity with the games. So we went through a process, and we were awarded the games, and we determined that the best place to have the games would be Orlando and the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex.
Right. And this is such a huge complex on its own, so it could house all of the events and then some.
Well, that's why we actually had to add a pool.
Oh, okay.
We did not have a pool, so we added a pool. So this really mimics an Olympic park.
Wow.
As closely as it could be. And then you've got all of the athletes staying together at shades of green, which was supplied by the Department of Defense. So that serves as the Olympic Village, if you will, the athletes' village. So they'll all stay together. And the families, almost 1,000 family and friends, will also stay together at the Coronado Springs. So it's going to be a very enriching experience, not only for the athletes, but for the families and friends, because they'll be able to share experiences, share stories, tell each other how they got over certain issues, and it's just going to be a win-win for everybody. So, and the weather is perfect.
There you go. Yeah, it's not going to be terribly hot, so I've read. So I bet the athletes are used to that, though.
Well, I think they are, but I know that the sun is shining on the Invictus Games, but not too hot.
Right. Do you have a favorite Invictus game to watch?
I'm not supposed to tell you this, but my favorite sport is wheelchair rugby.
Oh, cool.
They use specially fitted wheelchairs, and it's very difficult to explain. It's something that has to be seen, but it is all out, all out competition. They're in it to win. They're banging into each other, flipping each other over, and nobody looks back.
Wow, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about Fisher House Foundation?
Fisher House offers a home away from home for families of wounded, injured, or ill servicemen and women for no charge for as long as the hospital stay dictates. So families can stay in a house as long as they need to. The financial burden is taken away. But the best part about the Fisher House program is the support system that forms in the house. So the families, the financial burden is removed, but now they have psychological support. They can lean on each other. They share the joy of the good days. They share the sorrow of the bad, because not every story has a happy ending. But in the end, they're together.
That is the best form of therapy you could have, versus going into like a very clinical environment and talking about your feelings.
It's a home in every sense of the word. So when you walk into the house, and it's a house when you walk in, but it's a home when you get the feeling of what goes on in there. The houses are designed to encourage interaction. When you stay in a hotel and you close the door behind you, that, aside from TV or the internet, ends your exposure to the outside world. But if you don't want to be alone, then you can go downstairs to one of the common areas, the kitchen, the formal dining room, the sitting room, and you can talk to each other and share your experiences. And that's the brick and mortar that makes these houses into homes.
That's invaluable right there.
Yeah, we're
very good.
Proud of that.
And I know here we have 5 Fisher houses in Florida.
5 with a 6th one coming. There's one in Tampa now because there's a level 1 polytrauma center there.
Right.
But we're going to build a 2nd one in Tampa because of the load that it carries.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of a Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. There are a lot of people in that area.
Yes, a lot of veterans.
Yes.
Very patriotic area. And Tampa is one of the finer hospitals in the country, operated by the VA. So we're more than proud to be able to put a house there in the first place and do a second one because it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have military service,
No,
or you're
I
civilian?
never served. I am a civilian.
Wow.
This is my way of serving.
Yeah, and
Just to honor the sacrifices that have been made on behalf of my family and other families of this nation.
absolutely.
We can never forget about the burdens and the sacrifices that are made by 1% of the population. The military family, the entire unit serves, not just the person in uniform. So when a person is deployed, the family has hardships that you really can't quantify. So when they get wounded, the world doesn't stop because they've been wounded. Bills have to be paid, mortgages, children have to be raised, and that's where Fisher House comes in.
That's the home away from home is that's just beautiful. I love that, and the fact that you can go there for an unlimited amount of time as your
There's
family
no
members in
limit.
treatment.
There's no limit to how long and we've had families that have used multiple houses. So in other words, they've used the Department of Defense house, and when they have transitioned to the VA, they've used the Fisher House in that program. So it's just, like I said, that's another one of these win-win stories that we're there for them in the beginning and through the process.
Somebody has to be. That's great.
Well, somebody has to be, but it's not, this is not something that we consider to be charity. This is something that we consider to be our duty as Americans. These men and women, as I said before, they make sacrifices that the average American has no concept of. So when they're wounded, the burdens just increase by a factor of 100. And so that's why this nation needs to do a better job, really, of honoring their sacrifices.
Yeah, you won't really know the situation until you're in it, and the proud few the few and the many that are in it are...
There's no way that a civilian could ever understand. I've been involved with this. I've given my life to this for almost 20 years. And while I've been around them at their best and their worst, I still don't fully understand. And I've been down in the weeds with them, and I can tell you one thing, that the resolve of these men and women, this unconquerable spirit, that we call Invictus, this is something that, that they are very proud of, that nothing is going to stop them, that there will be nothing that stands in their way. But it's the use of sports in the recovery process to empower, to restore self-esteem, to give them their self-confidence back. If we can use these games to also highlight the unseen wounds of war, the psychological illnesses that these men and women bring back from war, the horrors of war, post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, we shine the light on this issue. If we can save one veteran's life, if we can get them off the couch and back into the game by watching what is possible, then the Invictus Games have more than accomplished what we set out to.
And that's something that doesn't occur to a lot of people generally, but particularly in the military, those invisible wounds. And that's tough, but I'm glad that this environment is there to help people cope, and people who wouldn't normally they wouldn't be so forward with their feelings.
Well, there's always been a stigma associated with it.
Yeah.
With post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury and coming forward. So again, if we can use these games, if we can use the power of sport, not only to empower the athletes, but also to show people at home that might be suffering, in silence, what can be done, what is possible if they come forward, then, as I said, then we've achieved our mission.
Absolutely. Well, one last question for you. I know you're a busy man. How could a typical civilian like me here in Central Florida or beyond, how could we get involved with the Fisher House and help?
Well, Fisher House, you go to our website, which is fisherhouse.org. We have a variety of programs, all family-oriented, that in ways that people can get involved through the lodging program, which is the core mission. We have a Hero Miles program where people can donate unused frequent flyer miles to us. We in turn buy tickets so caregivers can go back and forth. We have a Hotels for Heroes program, same kind of a program, but this is with credit card payments. And we have 3 scholarship programs. So there's a variety of ways you can get involved. You can also come here, but get tickets, go to invictusgames2016.org and buy tickets. And they're going quickly, by the way, and I'm not just saying that, they really are. This has generated a great deal of interest. People are realizing, you know, as the story gets out there, people are realizing, you know, what these men and women have gone through. And we've put the issue front and center. Come and see now. Come and see what is possible through sport, through support, you know, through just being conscious of what these men and women have gone through. We've become very good at walking up to a serviceman and woman and saying, thank you for your service. But that's not enough anymore.
Yep.
We have to do more. We have to do more, especially for the ones that are still suffering from post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries.
Yep, more than a thank you.
More than thank you. Hashtag more than thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Fisher. We will see you at the Invictus Games.
Thank you very much.